But then he makes a statement that says, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. In other words, that's what was driving him. That was driving. He wasn't searching after the natural, but searching after something more, searching after the spiritual. See, this woman, when she got a hold of what Christ was offering, she understood and she was driven by that, because the natural things didn't matter to her anymore. The outcastness that she felt and the being outcast from the society and the pain that she felt, that didn't matter, because she found something that superseded the natural. She found something that superseded the natural. She found the deliverance that she was looking for. And it drove her past her pain, past those who had outcast her, those who had cast her on the edge of society. It drove her past them, past the pain that she felt, to minister to others. What is driving us this morning? You know, it's so easy for us to be caught up in the natural, and to be caught up in the things that we see and our desire for natural things. For it's true that we need to work and we need to eat and we need to live. But that ought not to be what is driving us. That ought not to be the thing that causes us to go out. And it should not be the driving force behind all we do. For this natural will one day come to an end. The meat that we eat thereof will one day come to an end. And like this woman, we need something more to sustain us. We need something more to carry us through. We don't just need this natural meat and this natural drink, but we need to be driven by so much more. This woman found that so much more that day. Why? Because she was desperate for something different. She had heard the cries of the people and was confused by how they ought to worship, and had heard all the rhetoric, but she was desperate for something more. She was desperate for something more, and that desperation led her to expose her situation so that she could receive what it is that she needed. How desperate are we this morning? Are we willing to expose ourselves before Christ? Are we willing to uncover our situation that has us so bound so that we can have deliverance? Or are we content to stay in the place that we are? Are we content just to be driven by the natural things that we need and stay in the place where we are? Or do we seek to have more? Do we seek to be driven by the Spirit, to be led by the Spirit? Amen. Stand with me this morning. Verse 35 continues and says, Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh the harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes, and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. There is a greater need besides the need for the natural things that we have need of. There is a greater need than just the natural things that we desire, the food and drink that we need to survive in this life. But there is a need for so much more. There's a need for us to walk according to the Spirit. And for God is the Spirit, as verse 24 said, and they that worship Him must worship Him in spirit and in truth. Now, worship is not what we do on Sunday mornings when we come and we sing songs and we lift up our hands and we sing how great our God is and give Him praise, and that's part of worship. But worship isn't just about that. But worship is about living our lives in a manner that pleases Christ, living our lives as a sacrifice for His glory. You see, it wasn't just that woman that day that found the deliverance that she needed, but because she found something great, she went out and she would tell anyone that she met, anyone that she came across, she told them about this great thing that she had found. And it says that many of the Samaritans of that city believed on Him for the sayings of the woman, which testified, He told me all that I ever I did. This woman had an experience with Christ. But within her experience, she wasn't content just to keep that to herself. But she went out and she proclaimed. Why? Because she understood finally what that living water was. She understood that living water could sustain her beyond her pain, beyond all the things that she felt in the natural, that living water could sustain her past anything she needed. She started to understand the words that the Master gave to her that day. And when she understood it, she knew she couldn't keep it to herself. She knew that she couldn't hold on to this great message. She couldn't hold on to that living water for herself. But she knew that she had to give it. She was so desperate, and when she was in that place of desperation and she received what it is that she longed for, she knew she couldn't keep it to herself. And so she spread the word, and many came to know Christ that day, because that woman wasn't content to keep this good thing for herself, but she desired to share it. Why? Because she was driven. She knew how she felt as an outcast, as on the fringes of society. She knew how she felt before she met Christ, and she understood what an impact he had made in her life. What about us this morning? Has Christ made an impact in our lives? Have we had an experience with Christ? And if so, are we like this woman? Are we not content until we share this word with everyone that we can? Are we like this woman where we understand what Christ has done for us? We understand where we came from and where we are now. And we realize the profound change that He's made in our lives, that we're driven by the Spirit to go out, to minister, not caring who we are or who we talk to, not caring, going out of our way to reach out to others, not going out of our way to avoid people, but going out of our way to minister to their needs. Or are we so focused on the carnal that we are looking for the natural, to fulfill the natural needs? For it's true, yes, we have natural needs, and we need to eat, we need to drink, we need these things to survive in the natural. We need to work, and we need to have our natural needs to be met. But if that is what is driving us, then it's not only to our own demise, but it's also to the demise of them who are dying around us. For if the gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. What's driving us this morning? Are we content to be in the situation that we are and to stay in our place of comfort? Or are we thirsty enough? Are we desperate enough for change that Christ has for us? And not just for us, but for all of those that we come in contact with. I want us to go before the Lord this morning and ask Him to search our hearts, for we all have things in our lives, and none of us have arrived. None of us have come to the place where we've arrived, where we've done all we can do, but we all have things in our lives that Christ is dealing with us with and molding us. I thank Him that this is an ongoing process. For once we've been called to the kingdom, it's not just that's it, that's all, and He just leaves us as we are, but He continues to work with us. I pray that we go before Him. I'm going to ask our pastor to lead us in prayer, but in this time of prayer, I pray that we'd examine ourselves and put ourselves before the Lord and say, Lord, what is driving me? Am I thirsty enough for that change that You desire to give? Or are we content to just stay where we are? I ask our pastor to lead us in prayer this morning in Jesus' name.
Come on, ye who are weary, come home, perfectly and tenderly Jesus is calling, oh sinner, come on, ye who are weary, come on, earnestly